All right, guys, welcome back. This is now video 9. We have still quite a bit of work to do on this project, but we're coming closer to the end with every video. The next step, once you've got all of your rafters cut out, my main house project, the double top plate, has been put on here and it's dry. So this piece goes all the way across, and then in the front you can see the end grain here on the two double top plates, so that everything is overlapping, kind of like Lincoln logs, in a way that allows this thing to be nice and strong. And yeah, so this is ready to go for the next step. The next step is to put a roof on it. Now, in order to get a roof put on this thing, that can be a little bit tricky. So I'm going to show you guys some ideas as to how I would go about doing this. If you have a different idea, you're welcome to try something else. But this is how I would approach this. So we've already got this plan all figured out here with exactly where these pieces should be. All right. And so the key thing is to make sure that when your ridge piece, see, where'd my ridge go? Here it is. The ridge is a little bit thicker than maybe I would expect. So I'm going to put it in there as a placeholder. And then I just want to make sure that when these two pieces are down here, they actually fit over the wall in the plan. You can see this side right here. Let's see if I can focus that. This side here comes a little bit inside the line, so I need to widen that mouth just a little bit in order to make that work. Now, if I squeeze these two together up here, got to meet that right angle. It's just a little bit tight. So what I need to do is I need to sand just a little bit right in here and open that up so that fits just right. I'm going to do that with an edge on a block. So I don't have anything tall enough to do it this way, so I'm going to have to do it sideways. So if I can hold it up in the air here. If I hold this flat against the back of this guy, I can then work this bird's mouth open just a little bit like that. Fit that again. That needs a little more. Okay, that's good. So when I bring these two together like that, it will still fit over the actual wall. And then if I had this piece sit on top here like this, inside the wall, so the bird's mouth is passed on both ends just a little bit. Back this up so you can see the other side as well. Okay, so this piece is just inside both of these bird mouth cutouts, and it's going to sit flat with the bottom of the bird's mouth, just like that on both sides. And there you go. So together, when you add these pieces, all three of these together like this basically makes up a truss. Okay, this piece will eventually need to be glued in the middle of it like this, but we're not going to do that quite yet. So we're just going to leave this sitting here as a placeholder while I glue this piece like this. We're going to glue all three of them like this, just to get them started. With one of them, the exception with one of them, we actually need to have this piece dropped sideways. Okay, like this. And I will show you that in a little bit, but that one needs to get cut out. So let's modify one of these now. We'll go ahead and cut it out. You can see this line that was right here and this line that was right here on the plans. What that's telling you is if we have this brought in here and we transfer that mark here, and we transfer the mark here, okay, is that this needs to be notched to fit inside in fact, inside on top of the wall flat. So I'm going to just take this little piece here and I'm going to use it as a spacer. So what I'm doing is I'm making it flat on this end here. I'm going to use it, I'm going to hold it down. I'm just going to trace it like that. So that little section needs to get cut out. Okay? And then we're going to do the same thing on this side. That little section needs to get cut out. And then here where we have every one of these little gable end walls, we got a little area that's going to need to be notched. The other alternative, if you didn't want to notch all of these, you could just cut these out and not notch these. If you left these alone, the alternative would be to take all of these pieces and cut them a little bit shorter so they sit on top of this. But that's not typically how it's done. We typically would notch it out because this would go in after the fact. So if this is going to sit here flush to the outside wall, and this sits flush to the outside wall, this sits on here like this. So that needs to get notched out. I can imagine for some of you guys, notching all of these out is going to be pretty difficult. And I understand that. So my recommendation to some of you, if you do not want to notch these out, is to leave these solid and just to cut these 3 little pieces here, or 4 pieces. It's this piece, this piece, this piece, and this piece. You can cut them shorter by the thickness of this piece and just set them on top. That will work as well. For the sake of the model, we can make that work. That's just not how it's typically done in building, so I'm going to notch this because I want my model to be accurate. So let me just show you real quick how this works. Grain is really strong in one direction and it's weak in another direction. So I'm going to set this way so that as I hold it up towards me, I can actually see all the marks with my saw. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to cut out one of these for you guys here on camera right now. Be really careful that this doesn't want to break the whole piece. It could want to snap the whole piece of wood. This is really gentle. Okay, so what I can do now that I got this notched out is that I can just take this piece here and I can break it out actually. Okay, so if I have a little screwdriver or something, I don't want to tell you guys to get a knife. That's not a good idea. Let's see here. Paperclip. I'm gonna actually use a thumbtack. If you guys have a thumbtack like this, okay, what I can do is just poke it here on the inside, and that'll work perfectly. You can see that just notches itself right out. Okay, so a thumbtack, that'll do the job. If you got a thumbtack or something sharp like that, you can use that and it'll notch out. So you can do the rest for all of these, and then I've already shown you how to cut these type of things out with the saw on the other pieces, so that'll need to be notched out. I'm going to leave that one alone for a second, or you know what, I'll cut these out real quick and then we'll pause the video and then we'll keep going. Alright, so I went ahead and finished cutting this out. This is all cut out now, and we're going to go ahead and put this in the first one. So the whole point of this is on the model, when this thing gets installed, this piece is going to come in at an angle. It doesn't actually need to have these corners cut like this, but it just needs to have the hangover here on the other side of the wall. And the reason that it does that is it's for drywall. So the the rafters need to be on the same plane here as the cutouts, and it'll all come together. So let me show you how we're going to glue this together. So we're going to do all these one at a time, nice and slow. We're just going to leave this here as a placeholder. We're going to set these two rafters in place here and here, and you know what, just to make sure nothing moves, I can put a little weight right on the corner of that. This needs to get glued on so that it is basically like this, right where all those pieces go. Uh-oh. Doesn't seem to line up. Oh, there we go. That lines up great. So that needs to get glued like that, so that that one can dry. And then we can do the next one. So what I'm going to do so that I can do several of them at once is I'm going to glue it and I'm going to tape it just so I can keep going. I'll show you guys how I'm going to do this. So my towel is moist. I got a moist towel here ready to go. I'm going to widen my lens a little bit so you can see everything that I do. And let's just do it, okay? I'm going to take and put some glue on about the last 2/3 of this guy. And right here on the last 2/3 of this flat joint right here. We're going to set this back in place here. Keeping everything really well lined up with where it's supposed to be. It's going to be critical. Oops. Maybe I won't be able to do multiple. This is pretty delicate. This is pretty serious here. Okay. Well, this first one I might just have to leave it. Bring this back down. Get all that stuff to line up. So many little things to line up here. Your fingers are sticky. It makes it harder. Okay. So that's all kind of dialed in right there. I'm going to leave that and let it sit. What we can do, if I just come down here, I'm going to borrow this piece here. If I can really carefully take it out without interrupting any of those. Actually, this piece has got to go in just a little bit. Okay. I'm going to bring this in here again, right along the center piece. That lines up. And then bring these down. And this one should be a lot easier. With this one, this is going to come into here. This is going to come into here. As long as these line up on top. That just needs to be glued like that. Okay? So that this overlap matches. Actually, here I'm going to shift this over just a little bit. And you can see what I'm using is the model wall, this line right here. See if I can get that to focus for you guys a little better. This model line right here and right here, that needs to be on just inside the bird's mouth. And then as long as that's done, these cuts come together, and then this piece comes across to be even on the top of the bird's mouth shoulder. This should work itself out perfectly. So I can glue up a couple more of these. Instead of using this, I am going to just use a couple of these little guys here. Let's scooch this whole thing up so I can fit 2 more of them on here, and I will let them all dry at the same time. So that's come over there. All right. Let's do this. Just so I know how much glue I need and where it's going, I don't have a bunch of extra glue. I'm just gonna put a rough line on that. Okay. So I know that my glue's in that area. And I'm gonna just spread this out a little bit. Okay. Clean all this stuff off my fingers. And then just set this ceiling joist in place. Squeezing down nice and firm. Letting all the squeeze out come out, readjusting it in place. Making sure that this sits really nice at the line right there on the wall. That this one sits nice at the line here. It's going to change the angle a little bit. That's important that that's good. Okay. And then need to make sure that these 2 joists here are the same height. Okay, so that one's good. Now I can just leave that to dry so we can put that in the roof assembly here in about an hour. And I'm going to do one more the same exact way. I'm going to hook this on the end here. I'm going to hook this on the end here. This is only going to work if your pieces are accurately cut out. I'm relying on the fact that my pieces are accurate, and if they're not, then this is only going to mess you up. I suggest maybe doing them one at a time up here, laying everything out on your drawing, and double checking everything. So I'm going to just firmly hold this down, get a light line here, a light line there, just so I have an idea where the glue goes and where it stops. Again, I'm going to cover that whole section with glue. Okay. This is detail work. It's really accurate detail work, and this can be very difficult. I understand that for some of you guys, this is not going to come out perfect, and that's okay. You just gotta recognize the fact that this is hard. This is detail stuff. I'm a finished carpenter. I'm a cabinet maker. I've been a woodworker for 20 years now, and I've actually been doing woodworking longer than that, but I've officially had a business for 20 years, and it's it's a skill that you have to practice to get good at. So, this is a little bit tricky for me sometimes, doing certain things. So, I can only imagine for some of you guys this is going to be real frustrating, and for others, it's going to come really naturally, it's a sign that maybe you want to consider doing this for the rest of your life. If you like it and it comes naturally to you and you're really good at it, maybe something you want to do because it's fun. Let's see if we can get those to line up. Just looking at those tops. I'm making sure my lines hit inside either side here from the drawing, so I have the full 12-inch width. And then I just want to make sure that the top lines up there. That all looks good. This is above the base. It's above that base. I might actually put a little bit of weight on that one. See if I can do that without messing it up. So just get a little bit of weight going on there. That'll sit there, no problem. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of weight on that one as well. Okay, not a lot, just a little. Just a stapler. So those are all set. I'm going to let those 3 rafters, which consist, or the 3 trusses, I should say, which consist of rafter and ceiling joist combined, dry. As soon as they're dry and ready to go, we will be able to come back and install all of these little guys right here, which will be kind of cute, but they'll get pushed in. I don't want to do that now. I don't want to move any of that stuff. I'll show you that when we come back. Make sure that stays where it's supposed to. I don't want to mess that up. Uh-oh. Yep, that's good. So once that all dries, we'll come back. We'll get these little pieces put in, and then we can install the roof. And then we're pretty much done with the framing aspect of this thing. If we want to put on some cardboard or some other stuff to show how this works, put some insulation in it, we'll be able to do a few of those extra things. Let me know if you got any questions.